at that. Look at this. Look at us. Every year, pretty well. We missed out on 2022.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
I was actually in my very loose prep.
Oh, because you had, I think, re-released. Was that in 22 or was that 21 still?
21 was when we did like our most current interview.
Oh, okay.
October of 2021. I haven't gotten to ask you about like anything over the last year, which is wild. We're gonna dive in, Gigi Rey.
Oh.
Heck yeah. Hello, friends. Spencer Love here, back with another interview and better than ever, to quote Eazy-E. You got to throw Eric Bischoff in when you can. Of course, here with Millwood's most famous professional wrestler of all time. That is the weight I am going to put on this one.
That's
the
too
money.
much. That is too much.
Okay, so who's more famous from Millwoods in professional
I don't
wrestling?
know. I guess just me.
There we go. There we go. The money. Gigi Rey, the main event. How you doing, friend?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for having me.
It's past January 7th, but I'm still going to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Absolutely.
Good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
How was the holidays? I saw you got stuck in Texas for Christmas, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I was trying to come home for the holidays, and then just with all the snowstorms that were happening everywhere, my flight got canceled. I was supposed to fly back on Christmas Day. That was canceled. I tried to rebook it for like the next day, and it was just, the prices were crazy. So I kind of had to wait it out for a couple days. And so I was able to come back on the 28th and heading back to Texas kind of at the end of the week here. So I've been here for about 2.5 weeks now, and it's been just, it's amazing to be home. I love being here.
How was Texas Christmas? No, I guess you hadn't like been in Texas for Christmas, had you? Did you travel back the last couple of years?
I think, yeah, last year I did come back for the holidays. And then this year, yeah, I was supposed to just be like working like my shoot job over the holidays. And as I was like, whatever, it kind of sucks. And then kind of a blessing in disguise, I ended up hurting myself.
Oh,
so I couldn't.
No.
We'll get into this. So then I couldn't work. I couldn't wrestle. So I was like, well, I might as well go home for the holidays now. So I kind of booked a last minute trip to come home, and really, really glad I did it. 100% was a blessing in disguise, because I really needed to be here back at home during the holidays, I think.
I'm trying to be less cliche than saying there's no place like home, but
it is true. There's no place like home. And I think especially when you move away and you kind of immerse yourself, not to say that like Texas is a different culture, because it is kind of similar to Alberta, but when you're just not with your friends and you're not with your family, especially at a time where, you know, the holidays, you spend a lot of time with friends and family. It's nice to be home, and it's just a different vibe. It feels good to be back in Canada. So, well,
welcome back.
Yeah,
and you know, we can't wait for you to come back, because this will probably come out after you've already left. So I'm wishing you a preemptive, please come back.
Thank you.
How'd you hurt yourself? What'd you do?
Well, this was at Reality of Wrestling. I was in it was our Christmas Chaos show, which is one of our biggest shows of the year. We have Summer of Champions and we have Christmas Chaos. And I was in the first ever women's ladder match against Promise Braxton, who was a phenomenal talent. And yeah, just kind of near the end of the match, kind of took a nasty fall and kind of ended up dislocating my wrist. So I had to get rushed to the emergency center after the match. I shouldn't say rushed, like they like found someone to take me there, because I was fine. I wanted to stay, and because you know, you have adrenaline and things don't really hurt as much as they should at the time.
Oh, and it's going to sound pretty dumb to say, but like as a nurse, you'd sort of know a little bit better than a lot of people what your capabilities are of sticking around.
Yeah, and I already do have a pretty high pain tolerance. I remember exactly when it happened. I had jumped off the top rope to kind of give her a shotgun drop kick off the ladder, and I just kind of not thinking about it, put my arms down the wrong way and just felt my wrist pop. I looked at it and I was like, yeah, that looks like it's broken. and you have to keep going, right? You can't stop the match.
Yep.
So yeah, I kept going. Thankfully, it was near the end of the match, which I think should be out on YouTube eventually pretty soon here for people to watch. It was really fun. It was great to do. Ladder matches are like my favorite match of all time. So I just felt so fortunate to be able to do something like that, especially at Reality of Wrestling, and kind of to have all those eyes on it. But yeah, so I'm almost done my 6 weeks of being in a brace. Thankfully it wasn't broken, it was just dislocated. So the Emerge Doc kind of just straightened it out, popped everything back in place. told me to see a surgeon. Surgeon told me you don't need surgery. I have like bad wrists to begin with. Like I've broken it many times.
Yeah.
So he was like, there's really no point to do a surgery for you. It's just going to cause more pain. So just wear your brace for 6 weeks. Don't wrestle, don't work, and see you in a couple weeks.
And don't tell them about the photos from the Clandestine Society.
I was just running the ropes. I was just running the ropes. That's all I was doing. I just wanted to hang out with some of my friends. I'm not bumping and not doing anything. I probably did a little more than I should have. MRB was getting a little mad at me. He was like, stop doing this. But
MRB is not the kind of person to tell you to do less. So if he's telling you to do less, then you should probably be doing less.
He's great because I know he just like, he doesn't want me to like get more hurt, right?
Yeah.
I kind of like the day before I did this, I like injured my shoulder wrestling. Like it just, that's how it is.
It's here, it's somewhere else, right?
Yeah, I remember, I had hurt my right shoulder, just like, taking, I think it was an elbow drop that I took, and just whatever. You get hurt in wrestling, it's not a big deal. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And then this happened the next day. Then a few days later, I was like just trying to pour myself a glass of water, and I couldn't do it. I was like, this is so stupid. Like I literally I can't do anything right now. So then I was like, I'm gonna fly home. So I just booked myself a ticket. I just flew home. I was like, forget it. I'm not doing this anymore.
Everything will be fine there at the very least. I want to tie her back a little bit because they're, one of the nice things, obviously, when people from here get to go out and travel more and wrestle new territories and all of that is I get to fall in love with new wrestlers. So Promise Braxton was one I wanted to ask you about.
Yes.
And then Lady Bird Monroe, because it seems like you are all not a triumvirate, but like all three of you guys seem to wrestle each other fairly consistently. It seems like you guys have a great relationship. So not much of a question, just tell me a little bit about them, the friendship, the matches, the everything in between.
Well, Promise, she's phenomenal. She's so good. She's so talented, and she has such a amazing mind for wrestling. I've learned so much from her. I've gotten really close to her over the last years. Still coming for you for everything that we've been through. We've kind of been at it for like going back and forth at each other, like probably for the last couple months, but I love wrestling her. We have great in-ring chemistry. She's someone who I think should just be like everywhere.
Yeah.
She should be signed. She should be seen. She's so smart. She's so talented. And yeah, I can't say enough great things about her. She's a little tough. She's a little tough on me, but like, she's really great. I love her so much. And then same with Lady Bird. Her and I had met right when I moved to Texas last year and have just built such a great friendship with one another. And her and I are going to be tagging together really soon here. It was really cool because both of us, the first time we got to do AEW Dark, we got to do it together in a trios match, which was really cool. And then she ended up injuring herself shortly after that, was out with a ACL injury. And then she came back, and her first opportunity to go back to Dark, we got to take with each other again. And it was just the two of us, which was like kind of cool.
That was your most recent.
That was the most recent one. Yeah. And then a lot of fans had seen, a lot of the Mission Pro fans, because that's kind of where they had seen us together the first time, was on Mission Pro. A lot of them were kind of saying like, oh, we want to see Gigi and Lady Bird tagging together. So it was kind of like put out into the universe by like the fans. And of course, her and I had like talked about it on our own too.
Yeah.
And then it kind of came into fruition. So February 11th, her and I are tagging together. I guess it'll be like the second official time. The first time was kind of cool. It was on AEW. The first time we got to officially tag
Pretty
together.
Cool origin story. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then, we're tagging again for Mission Pro on the 11th, and just trying to see where this tag team thing can go. So.
That's cool. Heck, man. Why specifically Texas? Because obviously Reality of Wrestling, Mission Pro, like we'll sing their praises, but you don't really need to. Obviously their reputation precedes themselves, but they're by no means, the only territory that's like got great wrestling promotions, obviously. So why Texas specifically?
Texas specifically, mostly because that's where I could get a job as a nurse.
Okay.
First. Yeah. So obviously I had to kind of figure that out first, and I wanted to go to Reality of Wrestling. I wanted to be at that promotion. I wanted to learn from Booker T, and then I've really built a community there, and I love everyone that I train with there. Everyone there is so great. It's kind of like a tight-knit little family, and it's the product they put out is so well produced. Right when I got there, they signed a couple TV deals, so it was kind of cool that like obviously a lot of our matches are streamed on YouTube, but even in the States, it's shown on the CW network, which is a pretty big network kind of all across the country. I don't think it shows on the CW here in Canada, but like in the States, it's on the CW. It's on at like 2 a.m, but like, I mean, it's still,
it's on
TV. So, I mean, it was really cool to kind of get a couple matches on TV. And, So there was that, and then Texas it's such a huge state. Like it could take you like 10 hours to drive across the whole state. So I would really like to try to get out to like the East Coast or even to the West Coast and try to like wrestle into like those territories a little bit too, because like if you're on the East Coast, you could hit up so many different states, so many different promotions, probably the same driving distance as you would from like Houston to like El Paso, which is like a 10-hour drive, which is like crazy to think. So I really try to want to get out to the East Coast this year. And I think I kind of have a couple things in the works to get out there. So we'll see.
What was the process like moving down? Like, were you in contact with the promotions before you moved to Texas? Did you just sort of like, again, it's cliche, but like bet on yourself, head down there and just sort of throwing resumes out there, for lack of a better way to put it? Or
I definitely just betted on myself. And I think I kind of had it in my mind that once I started wrestling here in Edmonton, I just knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I finally found like a passion for something, you know, and like I love being a nurse and I obviously have passion towards that, but it's different when you do something and you're like, yeah, this is it. And it kind of just like clicks, right?
Yeah.
So I really wanted to bet on myself to see how far I could like take the wrestling thing. And so I obviously I had known about Reality of Wrestling just because being a wrestling fan my whole life, knowing about Booker T and his promotion down there and seeing it on YouTube and just seeing how well produced it was and seeing the talent that they have there and thinking that it's like, that'd be really cool if I could wrestle with these people. And so then I kind of I just went to their website, called the phone number. I think like Charmel answered. I'm pretty sure it was Charmel who answered the phone.
Which is pretty surreal in and of itself.
Yeah, which is cool now because it's like, I have her number in my phone. She checked up on me all the time when I hurt my wrist. So it's like I have a nice little connection with Charmel now. So yeah. So it was cool that like back 2 years ago, I guess now 2 and a bit, I had just called there, said like, hey, I really want to come down to the school. What's like the process? They're like, yeah, they told me like the pricing for it. They're like, just bring your deposit the first day and then you're enrolled in the school and you just pay monthly.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I think that was probably, I want to say in January of 2021, I guess. And then I had officially moved down there July of 2021. And then I think I started up in the school maybe like end of July, early August, and kind of never really looked back and kind of just became part of the Rowe family, which was kind of nice.
Were you a fan of Booker T growing up?
Yeah, of course. Who's not a fan of Booker T? He's so cool.
The immediacy. I love it.
Yeah, of course. And it's really cool now just like, you know, seeing him at shows, and he's kind of such like a little bit of a father figure to like a lot of like the talent there. So I get there, he'll always give me a big hug. So it's cool that it's like, I don't know, like I don't want to say friends, but you know, I have like a connection with like Booker T and Charmel. Like it's really, really, it's interesting. It's really cool.
Well, and obviously like between Thunder Rosa, like talent alone is going to get you a ton of places, man. But the connections that they come with has got to be huge, right? Mm-hmm. Like you obviously see what Roxanne Perez is doing. Mm-hmm. R.O.W. Graduate. Is that the proper term in wrestling?
I
guess. Do you ever technically like graduate?
I think from what
Can you ever tell that I haven't wrestled before?
From the vibe that I got, once you can go there and train, but once you get onto a show, like onto like the actual like tape shows, you've graduated. Yeah. I think. So it's like I wasn't like I got there. I think I started training there probably end of July, August 2021, and I was on my first show by the following October.
Holy shit.
So I mean, I graduated pretty fast.
Brushed your shoulder off a little, hey?
Yeah, so I don't know. When that's the goal is to get onto the shows, right? And to get regularly booked on the shows. And obviously by October, I wasn't booked much after like every week after that. We only tape once a month, but I was on a few shows after that. But I want to say maybe around like February, March, I started getting consistently booked on the shows once a month. And yeah, so I kind of felt like now I'm like officially a part of the roster, which was really cool. Because prior to that, before I did my first show in October, you know, they kind of have the trainees helping do all the backstage stuff around the show, like setting up the chairs and, you know, just being kind of like a hand.
Helping at a show.
So I only had to do that for a little while. And then I felt bad because like I was still so new there. Yeah. And I had known there was a lot of students there who were there for a bit longer than I was. And so I was still kind of part of like the trainee like group chat. And I would say, I'm like, yeah, like I'll be there to help out. And then the girl who's kind of in charge of training, she's like, no, Gigi, like you don't have to help anymore. And I was like, but I want to help. Yeah. Like, are you sure? They're like, no, just focus on your match. Like I was
the Canadian in us.
I guess.
That's all.
I guess so. But everyone there, it's an amazing environment, and I really, really love it there. I'm really glad that was where I started out my wrestling career and training in the States, was at Reality of Wrestling, just to kind of build that camaraderie with everyone. And yeah, I'm really happy to be there.
Well, and it's pretty cool. And I know it's always awkward to put yourself over, but I'm going to make you do it here. So start getting the wheels turning. Like, what do you think that they both see in you, whether it's Booker T or whether it's whoever, whether it's Thunder Rosa or otherwise at Mission Pro? Like, you're getting opportunities. And even you just say, like, maybe somewhat quicker than some of the other individuals that are a little longer tenured. So what do you think that they're seeing in you that's saying, like, okay, Gigi Rey, the money's not just the name, right?
I know for myself, it is weird.
I prefaced it. I ain't gonna do it anymore.
I know my athleticism speaks a lot. I am very athletic, and I know that. I will be honest. I know I am athletic, and I know I can do the moves. And again, wrestling's not all about the moves. It's about the psychology. It's about the storytelling and stuff like that. But like the moves, I have them down. Yeah, I can do the stuff. And I've always been very respectful of people, and I don't know if that's just my Canadian nature or how I grew up. I do talk a lot, but I know a place where it's your time to just sit and listen, and not to, like, if you have an idea, maybe now it's not the right time to like put your idea out there. Kind of like, I liked, especially being so new into the States, I really just wanted to absorb all the knowledge that I could. And I was still new to wrestling too. So I just, I was respectful of everyone, all the advice that I was getting and taking it all in. And I think that shows, because I know in wrestling, there's, you really have to believe in yourself, and you kind of do have to have a little bit of an ego to succeed in this. But at the same time, I think you also have to control that ego, and you have to, Are
you trying to avoid saying be humble?
No, sure, mate, that's what I'm trying to say. You have to be humble. You really have to humble yourself. And there's a reason why, like, my entrance music is Humble by Kendrick Lamar, because I never want to forget to be humble, and just to just really be so thankful about all the opportunities that I get. And I never want to think I'm better than anyone else. I always just want to learn from everyone. I want people to learn from me. And I think that shows. I hope that shows. And I feel that because I have humbled myself, and I have just really listened to the advice that people have given me, and then go out there and try to do the best that I can, and then ask for their advice afterwards. Obviously, like, you're not going to take everyone's advice. Some things make sense, some things don't. But you kind of like, you keep it in your storage bank. You keep it back there. And maybe the advice they gave you didn't apply to this situation, but maybe it's going to apply to the next one. Yeah. So just always to... I guess stay humble, I guess. And don't let your ego get too big.
Not yet. Not
ever.
So I guess it's a weird way to transition into the matches for Dark and Elevation and all of that. But like, is that a same experience with AEW? Because I'd have to assume, with Reality, Booker T, Sharmell, it's got to be a little bit easier to ask them for advice versus, say, the Young Bucks or someone backstage that maybe you're meeting for the first time. Or,
Young Bucks.
Well, I had to pick a random name. Okay, that was the first one. That was the first one that came. I don't know why I picked two people right off the bat, but we're just gonna cut this out in post. But like, what's that experience like? Like, are you still doing that? Are you still going and asking for feedback or asking people to watch your, like, what's that experience like? Is it different?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's different. Especially being at AEW, there are definitely people there that they encourage you to go and talk to. You'll always have like an agent who's going to like kind of oversee your match. I've been so fortunate because I think every match that I've had there, maybe except minus the last one, my agent was Dustin Rhodes. Like, amazing.
Might know a thing or two about pro wrestling.
Yeah, just a couple things. And he's so knowledgeable and just like a giant of a man. Like, he's a lot bigger in person than
he's like 6'7" or something, isn't he?
He's huge. Like, he is so tall.
It's nuts. Like, almost like Randy Orton sort of thing too. It's like you don't realize how tall these guys are.
Because remember the first time. Now we're just like marking out for like wrestlers, but
that's fine. That's basically what I get paid to do.
When we did Raw in Winnipeg with like the crew with like MRB, Zoe, Taryn, and stuff. I remember we were like in the hallway and I was like standing next to Randy Orton. I was like, oh my gosh, this man is huge. Like, he's a lot bigger than you think. And same with Dustin Rhodes. He's a very, very tall individual, but so amazing. And like, we would tell him ideas for the match, and he was like, oh, well, how about you try this? And like, what about this? And of course they're not gonna say no. And because, he obviously knows what he's talking about. And then even after the match to kind of get feedback from him, and was really amazing. So I'm so thankful for the opportunities that AEW has been able to give to independent wrestlers and be able to make those connections with people. And yeah, it's been really great anytime I've been there. I have nothing but good things to say about AEW. So
it's probably going to be not a hard question, but like they're three very different matches. You wrestle a singles, you wrestle a tag team, you wrestle in a trios match. Do you have a favorite, and why?
Oh, well, I mean, you can't, being in a singles match against Toni Storm, like you can't like ask for anything more than that.
That's
right?
Fair.
Right. And so that was probably my favorite, or my favorite, most memorable moment matches at AEW. Obviously the ones being able to like tag with like Lady Bird in them is like also very special too. Like you said, we're both very sentimental people, so to be able to do that with someone who's like your best friend is a really, really cool experience. And I don't think a lot of people are able to like to say stuff like that, that they got to like tag with their best friend in front of like a huge crowd in Texas. And like Lady Bird, she's from Dallas, so it's like the matches that we had were both like in the Dallas area. So it's such a cool experience. But then to be able to have like a singles match against Toni Storm was just really, really amazing. And that was kind of like the whole birth of the whole Mill Woods thing.
That's where I was going to go.
Yeah.
So was that the first time you did it, or was that just the first time you were obviously given that platform to do it?
That was the first time I did it. It was the first time I had a platform.
Okay, so what sparked it?
So I had known, so one of the greatest things I've learned from Booker T especially was that wrestling, it's not about the moves, it's about like the moments, and it's about the things that you do in between the moves that make you stand out. Mm-hmm. Like think about Booker T doing the spinneroonie and just like his mannerisms, the way he like wrestles. He'll like do a hip toss and like pose after like a hip toss.
You say he's pretty well the perfect example of the in-between of the
Absolutely.
moves. Great at moves. That isn't necessarily what you're.
Yeah, anyone can do the moves. You can train hard enough and you can do the moves, but it's all it's the seasoning, So I mean, give a chicken breast with no seasoning, it's just a chicken breast.
I like that. I can't wait to hear that in future interviews, and I'm totally gonna steal that.
But exactly what they said, and I always think about it. It's the seasoning, it's the stuff you put on the chicken breast that makes it good. So I remember, I got to go to AEW again. And I can't remember. Yeah, so Lady Bird wasn't there with me that time. I think maybe some of my friends were there, but I think I kind of felt like it was just kind of like I was on my own that time,
okay.
And so I was kind of just thinking, I was like, well, because when you go there, when you're booked as an extra, you don't know if you're going to get a match or not. They kind of write up the board halfway through the day, and if your name is on it, you have a match. If your name's not on it, like you're kind of just on hand in case something happens. But it's like really great when you see your name on the board. So, they start writing up the board, and then I see like Gigi Rey versus Toni Storm, and I kind of just like paused, and I was like,
were you waiting for more names to be added?
I was waiting for my name to be erased. Because like, I was like, please don't change it, please don't change it, please don't change it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember I texted one of my friends. I was like, holy shit, like I think I'm wrestling Toni Storm. And then, and it was kind of, and then, so yeah, so when you find your name on the board, they tell you get together with your opponent, find your agent, kind of figure it out. And like Toni Storm's like kind of standing right beside me. And, it's like you always want to be polite. You don't want to like be too zealous or anything. So I kind of just tapped her on the shoulder, be like, hey, like I'm Gigi. And she gave me a huge hug, right? She's the nicest person in the whole entire world.
That's wonderful to hear.
She's so nice. I was like, how can you be this nice? Like, are you really this nice? And like, she is that nice. And so we kind of spent the afternoon together just planning out our match and working out some things. And so it was, the whole experience was just so amazing. Like, I can't say enough great things about it. And then, to get back to your question. So the whole Millwoods thing.
This is how it's going to go. It's how it's gone the last couple times. Don't think we haven't. We both planned for the time.
Yes. So I remembered. So what Booker T had told me, he was like, if you have a moment to make yourself stand out, make sure you take that moment. And so I had remembered before at my last AEW match, they show before the match starts, they show you, they have your name at the bottom, and that's like your moment to stand out in front of the camera. It's kind of just
with
you.
Like the little, not Titantron, but like the little graphics at the bottom.
Graphic at the bottom. And so I remember with the last one before that, it was the trio. So it was the three of us. And so you don't really have a lot of, obviously I was there, but it's not really just about you. But I knew this time it was just going to be me. So I knew I had to do something to kind of make me stand out, something that could be memorable. At the time, I didn't really have anything. I wasn't doing the Millwoods thing yet. I think I kind of had some ideas about doing it, but I hadn't had the opportunity to do it anywhere yet. So I was like, well, we're on AEW. We might as well do it this time. So I knew that when they were going to introduce me to the crowd, I was like, okay, well, this is my chance to do something, throw up the MW and see what happens. And so I did it. I was really, really glad that I did. It picked up steam online. Thankfully, Thaddeus Archer had a lot to do with kind of getting the ball rolling on that, because he's the one who had hashtagged it like Millwoods, YEG, all that stuff. And then, yeah, I just kind of really exploded from there, which was like really, really cool to see.
That Thaddeus Archer. What can you say about Thaddeus Archer III? He's a great salesman.
Yeah.
I guess that's the most polite I can say right now. Love you, Thad.
Oh, I love that.
Love
I
you,
have
Thad.
great things to say about him.
Chat all too often. That's okay.
Always love group chats. I'm not about group chats.
They're mostly just like, to be honest with you, most of them are just like set up so that I don't have to send the same meme to like 50 different
I
people.
guess.
It's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
one fell swoop.
Yeah. But I've just noticed that like a lot of my guy friends, they're always in all these group chats all the time. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like me and my girlfriends, we're not in any group chats. I kind of we have one, but we barely text in it. We only like text to like make plans, but like, I don't know.
Thad. I think I'm in like 6 with Thad.
Yeah. See, like,
God, I love that guy.
Oh.
Love the guy. But we'll get back
don't
to
add
that.
me to a group chat ever. I'm not gonna read any of them.
That's gonna be the first line when I start sending out quotes from this. Don't ever add me to a group chat. Gigi
I'm not
Rey.
gonna read it. I'm gonna turn the notifications off.
Gigi Rey. Now, let's get to her. Let's talk about your big homecoming, your return to Edmonton. Love Pro Wrestling 7, August 26th. Now, you'd been back previously. It's not as though you hadn't been here since like your appearances on Dark, or at least your first appearance on Dark.
Yeah.
So like, from your perspective, because I can certainly give my side of the story, and I probably will a million times, but like, what was it like for you? Because you were the one who first said, I'm going to be in Edmonton. Let's do something. Let's go from there. Open floor for Gigi Rey now.
Oh, wow. That was, first of all, thank you so much for that opportunity.
I said a million times.
That was such a great feeling. That was such a great moment. So sentimental to me, that whole weekend of what it was. It was so great to be able to like come back home, because I had been back home I think in February of that year,
somewhere around there.
That was before my match with Toni. I think my match with Toni, I want to say it was end of March, early April, sometime around there. I
think so, because if it helps, all the articles from your journal and that were from April 15th or so.
Yes. So it must have been
Trevor Robb, by the way.
Oh yeah, thank you, Trevor. Phenomenal guy. Thank you for the interview, the papers, everything like that. So I think so I was back in February, did the AEW thing with Toni, March, April, around there, and that's the whole Millwoods thing had blown up, and so then to be able to come back and to kind of just get the reception that I got, people with like the MWO sign will always like stand out to me. Millwoods World Order.
So cool.
Which was like from Yukon Jack from like the Bear.
Yeah.
Is he still on the Bear?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So then like I had listened to him like growing up my whole entire life. So then like to see him like make a sign and come out to the show was like really, really cool. It's like, I don't know, it was cool to, to be from Edmonton and go out and do something, and to come back and kind of have your city behind you was a really, really cool feeling. And I felt, it was so amazing to have all that and just to have the reception that I got. And then it was so like loud when I came out for my entrance, and I'll just never forget any of those moments. It was really phenomenal.
And it is pretty appropriate that it's again with Zoë Sager.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say too. To be able to wrestle Zoë, who I started my training with Zoë, and a lot of the times her and I were the only girls there at training. It'd be like me, her, and MRB, and he's just teaching us how to wrestle.
Yeah.
And it was really great to be able to go off and do all the things that I've done, and then to see her and all the amazing things that she's done here in Canada, and then be able to come back together, wrestle each other. I think we had a very, very amazing match. And her and I, we just kind of have this like wrestling connection. We don't really have to talk a lot in the ring. We kind of just know how each one of us is going to move, and we kind of just go out there. And so we kind of just have this really great chemistry with one another. We're pulling back the curtain a bit. We're like obviously like very good friends, like behind the scenes. And to be able to main event one of your shows, to be the first women to main event, and to kind of put on the match that we did and have the reception that we got was something I'll never forget. And I think I had written it in a post that like, you know, wrestling can be pretty tough on you on like a mental level, on physical level, obviously, and kind of just an emotional level. And you really have to give a lot of yourself to the business. And that night wrestling gave so much back to me. And it was just such an amazing feeling to have. And I think that's one of the biggest things with wrestling is that like people love wrestling because of how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Right. It's the feeling that you get from like watching a really good match, or like the tingles you get from hearing a really great promo. You're like, oh shit, this is going to be really
butterflies
good.
when someone returns.
And so that night, all the feelings that I got from the crowd, from Zoe, from just wrestling, everything was like 10 out of 10. And it was really amazing.
I love hearing that because same thing.
Yeah.
I obviously didn't have to take nearly the bumps that I keep getting every time we like post about that match or send out highlights, like that head scissors driver, like gives people nightmares. Absolutely. Myself included in that.
No one takes the head scissors driver better than Zoe though. I will give her that. She thinks she did a really great job taking that. I kind of crushed her, but
she looked deceased. I have no other way to put it. The next month was actually like some found money, for lack of a better way to put it. See, no pun intended. But like, at least on my end of things, I didn't know if you're going to be here September, anything like that. But September 30th, you're back in a very different matchup.
Yes.
You've never wrestled Nicole Matthews before. Obviously, her reputation precedes her, but maybe tell me a little bit about that, because not different circumstances, but a very different opponent in Nicole.
Very
Zoe.
different. And thank you again for giving me the opportunity to wrestle Nicole Matthews, who again is someone that I like watched on the independent scene, watched in the Mae Young Classic with WWE, and be like, wow, I get to wrestle like her. And she's such a staple in like Canadian wrestling, right? And all my friends had wrestled her, Zoe, Taryn, Ava, everyone had their opportunity to wrestle Nicole. And I was like, yes, I get my chance to wrestle with Nicole. And I love the match that we had. She's so phenomenal at what she does. She's such a great heel.
Yeah.
Like just like her mannerisms and everything she does. I think like even after my match, my dad was like gushing about how much he loved Nicole because like, she's such a great heel.
Well,
and
like half the pictures we've got from that match are you just getting your ass kicked right in front of them.
Oh, no. And she knew that too. She made sure she was going to kick my ass in front of my
family based, because if I remember right, like there were people sitting there that said, Nicole, even your own family's here to boo you or something.
I remember she had told me she kind of like flipped someone off in the crowd. She's like, yeah, I think I just flipped off my cousin. And I was like, but of course that's very like on brand for Nicole Matthews to do.
Yeah.
So I loved my match with her. I loved working with her. I hope I get to wrestle her again in the future on whatever platform. But yeah, that was really like amazing too. And she's such a pro, you know, like for me, like I'm still so new to wrestling. And so I still trying to piece together like the psychology and making everything make sense. And she was just so phenomenal to work with, to learn from. And then we went out there and had, again, another really great match. And couldn't get the win on either of these matches. But like, to me, like, it's not really about the wins and losses. I know it's like we say that. I was
looking at your record in Alberta over the last
That's not good. It's not good.
Sorry to have contributed to that a little bit. But
it is what it is. But I mean, like, again, like, you know, we know what the wrestling business is. You kind of just hope I can go out there, win or lose. I just really hope that I'm able to stand out. And I think I'm able to do that. So to me, obviously it's nice to win. You like to win, but
gives you another reason to come back to love pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to our social media there. No, I'll do the cheap plugs later. We'll do the cheap plugs then later. Not much of a question, but obviously as we get closer to closing it out, I would be remiss in not bringing up Michael Richard Blais, the Clandestine Wrestling Society, obviously everything in between. Just give me a minute and talk about him, because obviously he was your first trainer. And then obviously continuing to go back going and training with other individuals, maybe what still differentiates him as a great professional wrestling trainer?
I think it's just the relationship he builds with everyone. Like, you talk to anyone on the Alberta scene, the Western Canada scene, like no one has anything bad to say about this man. He's so phenomenal at what he does. He's so good at putting things together. He's so great at just like seeing you as a wrestler and like what makes sense for you.
Yeah.
So the thing that I've loved the most is that, like, yeah, I've gone down to the States and I've trained with a lot of different people, but I just feel like because of the relationship that like MRB and I have, like we're friends outside of wrestling. He's not just like my wrestling trainer, he's my friend as well. So like he knows the things I'm capable of. He has so much belief in me. So like when I would come home to train, he's like, why don't you try this, 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 and this? And then like I do those things, I bring them back to the States with me. And people are like, where did you learn all this stuff? I'm like, oh, well, I learned it back at home, like with my trainer. It kind of sucks this time around because like I'm injured this time. So like I can't really like bring anything back with me this time. I'm sure there is something that
There's going to be some mad running skills going back to the States.
Yeah, right. But again, he's just so good at just understanding you as a wrestler and pushing you to your limits and just helping you evolve as a wrestler. And he's done that with so many people. And so, yeah, Clandestine's great. I really love that he kind of has now his place that's kind of like his own, you know? And just, I was just there like the other day and everyone was there. Like Pride was there, Bayrat was there, Steve was there, like Taryn, the whole crew was there. And it was just really nice, all of us back together, kind of just running. I didn't really run any spots with them, but kind of just seeing everyone wrestle together. It's that whole wrestling family that we have, and it's been really cool.
It's pretty cool. And we'll close her out with this, but like, at least internally, like I've been lucky enough to be here, see the growth like firsthand. Now yourself, you've obviously been firsthand, but as someone who's been in Texas more consistently over the last little bit, like what are your thoughts on where sort of Alberta and the Canadian scene sitting right now?
I think it's good. I think it's really, I'm so happy that it's starting to like boom, you know, and you've been able to bring in so many amazing, talented people from like across the country, right? Like everyone out in BC is just like, they're so talented. And to be able to kind of like work with everyone and kind of make Canadian wrestling stand out has been really, really great. And I know a lot of people from here have had opportunities now to wrestle kind of in the States, in the Pacific Northwest, and Seattle and Washington and Oregon. And it's just going to keep growing from that, right? And I mean, Canadian wrestling has such a rich history, especially Western Canada. We have such a rich history in professional wrestling. So it's really nice to kind of like see the new wave of talent that's coming out. And there can only be like more things to come, especially with AEW coming to Canada more often, to see everyone, hopefully a lot of people from here get an opportunity to get dark matches and to be able to be seen. I'm really, really excited for everyone here.
Hell yeah. It's a good time and you're a huge part of it. Gigi Rey. Unfortunately, the next couple of matches ain't going to be up here above the 49th parallel, but you mentioned February 11th, you'll be tagging with Lady Bird Monroe.
Yes.
However, if people want to keep track of you online, check out some matches maybe before, after, in between, wherever else it may be. Where you at online? Where can they find you in the ring, Gigi Rey?
So Instagram and Twitter, I'm both at Gigi Wrestling. I was trying to make a YouTube page, but I don't know. It's
a slog.
Yeah. So just type in Gigi Rey on YouTube and matches will pop up there. I'm going to be at Mission Pro coming up in February. Keep checking back at Reality of Wrestling. That ladder match for Christmas Chaos should be out pretty soon, which is really, really fun. I'm really excited to kind of watch that one back, to be honest. I've heard a lot of good things about it from people that were watching it there. And yeah, hopefully you can see more of me on TV someday, hopefully.
I'm real biased, friends, but I would suggest you give her the opportunity. We'll all be watching here in Mill Woods, Alberta. Gigi, it's a blast. It always is. Got to make sure we get another one of these done next year. We got to keep the streak going.
Yes, absolutely.
At least one a year.
Well, at least once a year. Yeah.
God forbid we got to chat twice.
Oh, God.
Friends,
yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. If you've stayed this long, then we hope you continue to. And if you want to, you can follow us wherever videos are played, audio is listened to. Our excellent content is created by excellent people at Love Wrestling CA. Make sure you tune in on January 27th. Love Pro Wrestling returns to the Rec Room South Edmonton for LPW 11, the Blue event. Michael Richard Blais defends the LPW Grand Championship appropriately enough against the intangible Zoë Sager. Matches are going to be continued to be announced while this interview gets released. So stay up to date with the latest and greatest above the Great White North, friends. It's a good time. I think we're pretty neat. For Millwood's finest, Gigi Rey.
Always.
I've been Spencer Love. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you on the next one.